everybody. Welcome to my live stream tonight. Appreciate you being here. We'll try to get started here in a minute. Give the stragglers a few minutes to catch up. You can type 45 in the chat and Nightbot will drop the link to your channel. Please share this video out to everybody and let's get as many people in here as we can tonight. Would love to see a bunch of people get in here and participate, and let's all learn from each other tonight. I'm going to try something a little different with this as I do it tonight too. I'm going to try to present some slides as I talk to try to help with that. Like I said, we'll get started here in just a minute. Try to give everybody time to get in here. I hope everybody's doing well tonight. If you're catching this on the replay, welcome. Appreciate it. I will be doing live streams every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. as long as we're able to do it and the internet and everything's working. So, again, thank you for stopping by. Appreciate you being here. Let's don't be shy. Jump up in the chat, say hello to each other. And if you got any questions as I'm going through this tonight, be sure and ask them in the chat. I will do my best to answer them as I see them. And if we have time available when we get done, if anybody wants to come up on panel, I'll share the link and you can come up on panel and we'll discuss some more. I guess I'll go ahead and get started. Everyone should currently have shelter. It's where you're living at right now. As we sit here and have this discussion tonight, we're all warm, dry, and secure. But we need to be able to maintain this should a natural or man-made disaster strike where you are. Too many preppers have the illusion that if something happens, they're going to strap on their bug out bag and run off into the wilderness and live happily ever after. And nothing could be further from the truth. Many of these people are going to end up like the character Cactus Jack. If you've seen the movie Jeremiah Johnson, Jeremiah's out in the wilderness and he finds a frozen dead corpse with a note pinned to his chest that says, "Whoever finds me can have all of my worldly possessions." And this is going to be what's going to happen to a lot of these people that think they can just run out to the wilderness and survive with what's in a pack. You know, don't get me wrong, there may come a time that bugging out is something that you need to do. May be the best option for you to have a shelter. But if that's what you're going to do, you should have an evacuation plan and a kit already established as to where you're going to go, how you're going to get there, and where you're going to stay when you do get there. I have a video. You can go back and look in my videos, and I have a video discussing an evacuation plan. One of the first considerations for a shelter is how you're going to keep it warm and dry. You should have some tarps, some boards, some roofing nails, and a way to do an emergency repair on your roof should it become damaged due to a storm and your roof's leaking. Immediately after a disaster is going to be the wrong time to try to run out to Lowe's or Home Depot or wherever and find tarps and stuff, because there's going to be everybody trying to do the same thing. They may not even be available. So you need to have that stuff on hand just in case. Do you have a means to keep your home warm in the winter should you lose electrical power? Many homes today have electric heat. or natural gas. You may lose public utilities for an extended period of time. So you need a supplemental heat source that you can use to help keep your home warm and dry. Such as a propane heater or a kerosene heater. Some people have wood stoves and fireplaces. A lot of people have fireplaces that haven't been used in a long time. If you have a fireplace or a wood stove, do you have a supply of dry, well-seasoned firewood that will last for a couple of weeks to a month? Do you have fuel for your propane heater or your kerosene heater stored at home? Again, after something happens, it's going to be the wrong time to go out and try to find these items, because everybody's going to be out trying to find these items. What about blankets, extra blankets, sleeping bags? Another way that you can stay warm inside your home should it be extremely cold outside and you don't have no supplemental heat. Hello, Robert, Zombie Prepper. Appreciate you being here. You may want to consider having one of the small dome tents that you can actually set up inside a room in your house to create you a microclimate. And it'll take your body heat, will help raise the temperature inside that a little bit, make it a little more comfortable for sleeping for you and your family. Next thing you need to consider is illumination, lights. How are you going to provide light once it gets dark? It's going to get dark every night. Do you have a supply of flashlights along with the batteries that you can change out, or some type of lanterns? I like the LED headlamps myself. The batteries last a long time in them. The light's shining wherever you're looking at the time. And you can put them on low, and a lot of them will last for up to 100 hours on low, which is more than enough light while you're inside the home. Another item I like is these little LED pop-up lanterns. They put out quite a bit of light, work real great indoors. The batteries last a long time in them, and they're real inexpensive. You can get them for about $5. Hello, Brian Pierce. Welcome in. Silent Silver, welcome in. Appreciate y'all coming by. Again, for the people that's just now coming in, you can type 45 in the chat, and Nightbot will drop the link if you're a content creator and got a channel, and that way people can go and look at your channel, and if they're not already subscribed, they can pick you up and add you to theirs. Another good thing about these LED lanterns and stuff is they're safe around pets and children. A lot of people like to store candles or the old kerosene oil lamps, the hurricane lanterns. Those things don't put out a whole lot of light, and they present a huge fire risk, especially around children, small children, and pets. The last thing you need to do during a disaster is to lose your shelter due to an accidental fire that could have been prevented in the first place. And that's the other thing during a disaster. Fire, police, and EMS are probably already going to be overwhelmed. And they probably are not going to respond, or if they do, it's going to be way too late because they're just going to be so busy or unable to even get to where you're at. Many people like to have portable generators. I have one. The thing about a generator, they're loud and they take quite a bit of fuel. You also are supposed to change the oil in those every 100 hours of runtime. So, do you have enough fuel and the materials and supplies to change the oil in this thing? Because you're going to be changing it at least once a week into a 1 or 2, 3 week scenario where you're having to run off a generator. They're great for short-term use. We use ours all the time. It's normal here where I'm at, especially in the wintertime. There's been times that we've lost electrical power for up to 2 weeks, and the public water, city water system for 3 weeks. The thing about generators, and that's where a lot of people make mistakes, you're kind of limited about what you can run off these portable generators. And the larger the generator, the more it costs and the more fuel that they're going to use. When we're running ours pretty much 24 hours a day, when the power is out, we use anywhere from 5 to 8 gallons of gas a day. So that's something else you need to consider, and you need to have the gas on hand to be able to fuel your generator. The bigger the load you put on the generator, the more gas it's going to use. And I mentioned about people getting too small a generator. This one right here in this picture is 3,250 watt. That's kind of common what people get. So basically, we're going to use some math here. We'll just say 3,000 running watts. Because sometimes that number, when it says 3,250, that's surge watts, and then the running watts will be a little bit less. But you've got that 3,000 watt generator, and you decide you want to heat some food up with your microwave. Most microwave ovens are 1,100 to 1,200 watts. So you're already just about at 50% of the capacity of that generator just by turning that microwave on. A lot of people keep electric space heaters. About all of your little small electric space heaters are 1,500 watts. So you're using half the capacity of that generator with just one space heater, trying to heat up a small room. Now, that's not counting if you've got your refrigerator plugged up, your freezer plugged up, you've got lights plugged up, TVs, computers, you're probably already exceeded the capacity of that generator. It's going to overload that generator. It's either going to damage the generator. If you're lucky, the only thing it'll do is trip the breaker, and you may cause an electrical fire by overloading that generator. Yeah, Silent Silver, I've got one too. Mine's 10,000 surge watt, 8,000 running watt. And even with that, we don't run any 220 applications on that generator unless it's went for several days. And then we'll turn off a whole lot of stuff and turn the hot water heater on long enough to heat water if we have water. But generally here in the wintertime, if we lose power, we lose the water too. So no need for the hot water heater. I do keep my refrigerator and freezers running off of it, and the TV and some lights. And my wife has medical conditions. She's got muscle disease, so she uses a heating pad to help relieve her pain. So that's definitely one thing that's going to be running off that generator is her heating pad, especially when she's lying down in the bed. But yeah, they're good for short term. The other thing, when you lose electricity and you've got an electric stove, or you've got a natural gas stove and you lose natural gas, you're still going to need a way to heat some food up and to heat water. A couple of options is these little butane stoves that run off these butane canisters. You can put a single pot on there and warm up some food real easy. You can heat some water on them, or the little camping stoves. I actually have both, plus a big camping stove sitting out on the front porch. Along with those stoves, though, you're going to need a good supply of fuel to go with them. You can get bulk adapters and connect these camping stoves to a 20-pound propane tank like on your barbecue grill, and they'll last a long time with just a camping stove. You're also going to need a way to go to the bathroom. We're all going to have to do that. If you have a septic system and you're not on public utilities for sewer, and you have a septic tank and septic system in your home, you can flush your toilet by just dumping some water out of a bucket straight into the bowl. Or you can fill the tank up on the back, depending on how your bathroom's set up. That may be kind of hard to do. I know my wife's got this little shelving unit that sits just about right on top of the tank that she keeps towels and other things in. So it's not really an option to add water to that tank. But if that's the case that you're on public utilities for sewer as well, it may not be working. If the power is out, the pumps may not be working. You may not be able to flush your toilets. So you might want to consider getting one of the luggable loos, as they call them, the little toilet seat with the lid that fits on a standard 5-gallon bucket, or one of the adult potty chairs that handicapped people have, along with the bags that goes with it. And then you're going to have to make a plan on how you're going to dispose of that waste. But that's just a couple of options that I can give you. A lot of the bathroom sinks and stuff nowadays, they don't have a stopper in them. So you're going to need a way to take a sponge bath or try to take a quick shower. You can get one of these camping showers, heat up some water and add to it and hang it suspended in your shower and take a quick shower that way. Another option is one of the garden sprayers. One of the 2-gallon garden sprayers. Make sure it's one that hasn't been used for anything, that never had no chemicals or nothing put in it. You can heat some water up, put it in that, and take a quick shower that ain't going to be like what you're used to, but it'll be better than nothing. The baby wipes is another option. You can kind of wipe off a little bit with those, and of course throw them away. I know when I was in the military, that was one thing that everybody kept in their rucksack, was a pack of baby wipes. Because when you're out there in the field, there's no showers or nothing available, and you'll be glad to have a pack of baby wipes. I don't know if Eddie's still in here or not. He probably been poked fun at me and say the Marines didn't never carry no baby wipes with them. Now that we've got that stuff out of the way, the other thing you need to consider is security. You definitely need to keep your doors and windows locked at all times, especially during something like this. People are going to be out looking, trying to find stuff. So make sure you're keeping your doors and windows locked. And no, that's probably not going to keep out somebody that's intending to come in, but it will at least slow them down some to give you some time to react. You're probably going to need to keep somebody on watch at night, especially. And, it needs to be a competent person, an adult or a teenager that's older and responsible. I mean, not only for kind of keeping an eye out to make sure that nobody's trying to break in on you while you are sleeping, but also to make sure that there's no fires that happens or anything else. You know, we called it fire watch in the military. The other thing is battery powered smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors. You really need a carbon monoxide detector that's battery powered in your home. You're going to be using alternative heat sources, alternative lighting sources, and carbon monoxide is a real hazard. If you ever watch the news, seems like every time there's a long-term power outage somewhere, you see on the news where they found somebody that died due to carbon monoxide poisoning, and most of them is because they was trying to run their generator inside the garage with the door closed, or actually inside the house, or they didn't have a heating source that was designed to be used indoors that wasn't vented, and they end up dying from carbon monoxide poisoning. Carbon monoxide is clear, odorless, tasteless gas. It replaces the oxygen in your hemoglobin in your bloodstream, and you'll slowly fall asleep and die. And when EMS finds you, you're going to be glowing bright pink from all the blood oxygen being out of your bloodstream. My dad, one time, this is absolutely true story, not making this up. I convinced him and talked him into it, and we went out and got him a carbon monoxide detector and put in his home. He was trying to use a kerosene heater indoors to save on his electric heating costs. Well, he decided that kerosene heater was using too much kerosene as well. So he decided he's going to turn that down real to where it just burned real slow and save on kerosene. And he fell asleep in his recliner, and his carbon monoxide alarm woke him up. And he had black soot in his nostrils because the carbon monoxide had built up in him laying there asleep. And if he hadn't had that carbon monoxide alarm that woke him up, he would have probably not be here today. The other thing everybody should have in their home, regardless if you're preparing for a disaster or not, is a fire extinguisher. And everybody that's capable should know how to use that fire extinguisher. As far as using a fire extinguisher, of course, the directions are usually on the label, but you're probably going to be in panic mode if you do have a small fire start in your home. But you need to remember the acronym of PASS, PASS. You want to pull the pin. You want to aim the nozzle at the base of the fire. You want to squeeze the handle and then start sweeping back and forth at the base of the fire. And you'll be truly surprised how much of a fire you can actually put out with a small fire extinguisher if it's used properly. Another thing you might want to consider, some of the solar powered motion lights. They don't require any grid electricity. You can mount them around the corners of your home from approaches where people would normally approach your home. If the power is out and it's at night, then those lights may turn on and give you some advance warning and may actually scare somebody away. The other thing you need to consider is what we call the gray man approach. You want to blend in and look just like everybody else around you. The next time the power is out, if you live in a neighborhood and the power goes out, I want you to walk outside and just listen for a moment. You'll instantly know who has a small portable generator that they're running, because you can hear those things from a long ways off. So you also need to consider and practice noise and light discipline. You don't want to be the only house in the neighborhood that's lit up and you and the family gathered around sitting in front of the TV watching a movie when nobody else has any power. Nobody's running generators. You're instantly going to attract unwanted attention because everybody's going to be like, well, how they got power? I bet they got something to eat. I bet it's warm inside their house. We need to go over there and stay with them, see if they'll let us stay with them, see if they'll feed us. And this also goes for cooking food. If you've ever been outside the backyard, your neighbors is cooking on the grill, you know it because you can smell it. And I know a lot of people talk about, well, something happens, I've got my grill outside and we'll just cook on the grill outside. And that could be fine for the first couple of days if something's happened. But if it's going to go more than a couple of days, more than likely, unless everybody around you is prepared, they're going to run out of food within 1 to 3 days. And then you're outside on the fourth day cooking food on the grill. I hope you got enough there to feed all your neighbors because they're going to smell it and they're going to come over wanting something to eat. The other thing you need to know or plan on is how are you going to defend yourself and your family should that need arise. That's a personal choice. I'm not going to make any suggestions on that. That's something that you'll have to figure out for yourself. And a lot of that's going to be depending on your skill levels, your level of training, and what you feel comfortable with doing. Only thing I will say to that is, if you're going to be plan on using a firearm, you need to make certain that you've got the training and you know how to use that firearm safely and effectively. Because the last thing you want to do is cause another casualty unnecessary. So, any questions? Like I said, appreciate everybody stopping by. Definitely glad you're here. Anybody got any questions or anything to add? Brian, I have not read that series. Of course, I've read all of the James Wesley Ross series on Patriots. And of course, 3 seconds after, or whatever it was, 3 days after, about the EMP, that one will definitely open your eyes. The one thing I didn't mention in this presentation, of course, is medical, having a good first aid kit. And I'm going to be doing a series of videos here soon on first aid kits and how to use them, how to treat bleeding, how to treat medical emergencies. Everybody likes to have the blowout kits, and that's the cool thing to have. That's the tactical. I think you need to be practical, not tactical. Working with the fire department and EMS for 8 years now as a volunteer. In 8 years, I've never used a tourniquet yet. Direct pressure and pressure bandages have always been able to control bleeding. I've used a chest seal one time on a gunshot victim that was still alive and is still alive today. But everybody wants to buy these blowout kits, and I do agree, yeah, it probably is a good thing to have, but you should have a good, well-stocked first aid kit in place first and know how to use it. And if you're going to get that blowout kit, you need to know how to use that. You need to get the proper training. Oh, Nancy, our treasure at home. You doing okay tonight? Again, anybody that's came in the last little bit, don't be shy. Jump up here in the chat, say hello. Uh, if you're a content creator, you got a channel out there, type 45 in the chat. Nightbot will drop your link so people can go check your channel out. And let's see if I can do this right here. That should be the StreamYard link pinned at the top. If anybody wants to come up on panel, I will try that. That would be something else that's new for me. The only thing I will ask is if you come up on the panel, I will want you to touch your nose or tap the top of your head or something so that I definitely know that it's you and not a robot or somebody lurking trying to put something in this channel that nobody wants to see. Yeah, Brian, I've heard a lot of talk about those A American books, but it's just something I never did check into, and that may be something I need to consider. Don't really have a whole lot of time to read a book right now between working a full-time job and trying to run a YouTube channel and take care of my wife and do all my other duties. It just don't seem to be enough hours in the day, but maybe something to do when I do go back on the mountain camping and stuff, to sit around when I'm by myself like that and read one of those books. Yeah. If you haven't done so, I'd definitely appreciate it. If you would hit the thumbs up button, leave us a like. That'll help me and show YouTube that people are interested in this type of content. So they are available on Audible Book, Brian? Yeah. Any of you that's not familiar with Our Treasure at Home, please go and check out Nancy's channel. She's working on her watch hours right now. And if you've got time and don't care, go in and watch her videos, run some of her playlists for her to help her get her channel monetized now. She's got some really good content on cooking, and she spends a lot of time with her granddaughter, and they have a good time. And she'll definitely share some face with you. So I would encourage you to check her out. And I seen that Silver Server dropped his link a while ago. Not sure if he's still here. You're welcome, Nancy. That's another thing that I want to try to do with this channel, is try to help everybody else out too. We're all in this together. And, that's the thing, the bushcrafting and prepping community and homesteading community, we're all kind of one community, even though we got different names. And I don't really care for any of them names, to be honest with you. But I try to take the information from everybody and put it together and use what works best for me. The homesteading and the canning and all that falls right in with being prepared as well. So, and Brian, you won the Ridgeline, didn't you? If you did, you did get that in the mail, didn't you? I know the other winner got theirs. They sent me an email and told me they did. I'm going to have some videos coming up soon. Like I said, I'm going to be doing some on first aid supplies and how to use those first aid and medical supplies. Got some reviews coming up on some flashlights that I received that I think people will find very interesting. One of them is on a small angle head rechargeable light that seems to be good so far. Haven't finished the video up on it yet to get it out there, but that'll be coming soon. And I also have one that I'll be doing a review on, a weapons mounted light. So that's a couple of things coming up. I've got a Bushcrafters camp out coming up in a couple of weeks. And so I'll be going to that. There'll be several YouTube channels there from the bushcrafting community. We're all going to get together and spend the weekend together and do some demonstrations and stuff. I'll try to get some of that on video and put that up for people to see. In November, I've scheduled a survival course that I'm going to be attending that Buckeye Bushcraft is going to be doing. Him and Tony Powers, and I can't remember the other guy's name, but they all used to work for Dave Canterbury. They was instructors at the Pathfinder School. They've kind of decided to go on their own now, and they're all three getting together. Hello, Elliot. Appreciate you stopping by. And he's doing a class up in Ohio in November the 10th and 11th and 12th, I believe is what it is, or 9th, 10th, and 11th, something like that. But I signed up for that. His prices is very reasonable, and that was one of the things that I liked about it. It's something that I can definitely afford to go and do, and I think it'll be some good skills and knowledge to pick up. And there's a sportsman show coming up in our area if you're in Eastern Kentucky or traveling through Eastern Kentucky. The first weekend of November, stop by the Knott County Sportsplex. There's going to be a 3-day gun outdoor sportsman show going on. There are going to be classes on trapping, gun safety, gunsmithing. I think over 100 vendors is scheduled to be there. Be a good opportunity to pick up some supplies. This is all being put on by Aftershock Preparedness, and they have a huge store over in Allen, Kentucky. They've got a lot of preparedness supplies, and not just the freeze-dried foods, but all kinds of gear and everything. I've got a video coming up on that where I went over and done a tour of their store, and they were kind enough to let me film it. And I'll be showing everybody that as well. And you can order from them directly online. Aftershockpreparedness.com. They have a website, and you can go see what they have available. But anything going on with anybody? We got any questions on anything? Elliot, you can type 45 in the chat, and Nightbot should drop your link. Nancy, you got any new videos in the pipeline coming up that people might want to go see that you can let us know about? Elliot, AR Nation, you got anything coming up that people might want to check out that you can let us know ahead of time? I'll try to go till 8 o'clock. It's about 20 more minutes. Okay, what time are you going live, Elliot, on Thursday? 8 o'clock Eastern. Okay, I'll try to remember that. Well, there you go, everybody. If you're available at 8:05 p.m. on Thursday night, jump in and check Elliot's live stream out. Hello, Shirley. Just doing our best. I definitely appreciate you being here. I'm good. I hope you're doing good. I'm actually doing real good. My truck had been messed up for a couple of months now, seems like. I've got a Chevrolet with a 5.3 engine in it. It ended up dropping a lifter. Spent about $3,000 in parts and labor and got all that changed. And then I think about a day later, it started having a bad miss in it. And actually found out it was just a bad spark plug. So I've got that fixed and it's great. Yeah, I know I haven't seen you out there much, Shirley. It's good to see you in here. So, yeah, I got my truck fixed. I had a sinkhole out here in the yard that I caught some people up in here doing some road work with the excavator and got that filled in. So it's been a good week so far. But, Charlie, we talked about, of course, this is the prepping talk. It's what I'm trying to do on Wednesday nights, starting at 7 Eastern. We talked about shelter tonight and some of the things that you need to have in place, such as, emergency lighting, emergency heating, fire extinguishers, smoke and carbon monoxide detectors that's battery powered, camping showers for taking a quick shower, having a alternative cooking source such as a camping stove or one of the little butane stoves. And Shirley, you can type 45 in the chat and Nightbot will drop your link so some of the people that don't know your channel can go check you out and subscribe to your channel as well. Yeah, it ain't no problem, Elliot. We all got things to do, and 7 o'clock might be a bad time for a lot of people, especially on Wednesday night, but that's kind of the time that's available to me. And there's so many live streams out there. And Shirley, I believe you might be the first one to picked up on that, or at least mentioned it anyway. But yeah, the 45, and then of course I like the 1911 and 45 automatic as well. So. Okay, Elliot. Yep. I ain't done no reloading in quite a while. When the components got so expensive or impossible to find, I kind of just set back on what I had and held on to it. And I think there may be some stuff starting to come back in the supply lines, but still the prices are just ridiculous to what they used to be. And I'd say they ain't never going to get any cheaper. Used to reloading was a good way to save some money, but nowadays I don't know that you can reload it for what you can buy it for, to be honest. Yeah, I think and they may have came down some, but I think the last time I checked on small pistol and small rifle primers, they were right at $100 a thousand. And I used to complain about having to pay 30. Okay, so they've come down some then if they're down to 69, but that's still. Yeah, the inflation has hit everything, and I just don't know how they think people are going to live. I really don't. I mean, I stopped by the grocery store on the way home this evening and got a gallon of milk and a couple packs of hamburger and really not much of anything else. And it was $40 some, packed it in a couple of bags. It's just crazy. And of course, that's been quite a while. Me and my wife's been together 31 years now, and I remember when we first got together, I used to give her $50 to buy groceries for the week, and she kept change out of it. Yeah. $50 won't even feed one person for a week now. Now, you mentioned about loading some dummy rounds. Is that for training purposes, or what do you use those for, Elliot? Yeah, it did, Shirley. That's what I said. I used to give her a $50 bill, and she'd come back with a buggy carload of groceries, and I know she was keeping some money back for other things too. So she was probably spending $35 to $40 and keeping 15 to 20 at a time, and $15 to $20 was worth something back then. I told somebody at work today they actually found a bicentennial quarter and some change, and I said, "Yeah, the quarter's the new penny now." Okay, yeah, I didn't know if you would actually kind of mix a couple of those dummy rounds in a magazine and then practice misfires and weapons manipulation drills. I'll try to definitely make that one Thursday night. I know that's why I'm saying I picked Wednesday night because there's so many lives. Shirley used to go live on Monday nights. I think Butler Family Farm's kind of holding her slot for her right now. And DJ's Cartoon Universe is on Tuesday nights. And Peaceful Des and some other people's on Thursday nights. And Simply Jan's Homestead and Freedom Redbird and Big Dreams Tiny Budget all do Friday night. Of course, Eddie and Belt Loop are on Saturday nights, and I usually go to Georgia Trapping and Fishing on Sundays, but he hasn't been up live in a while, so I'm say he's just probably busy right now. Yep, that's the thing, Elliot. That's like this weapons light I'm going to do a review on. It's like, how can you really film a review on something? But I guess I can show the light shining out on a target, but just not show any manipulations of a weapon. Yep, Craig is a good guy. In fact, I know that's where I first met Shirley at, was in one of Craig's lives, and it may have been you as well, Elliot. Yeah, they just, so many things that people just go crazy about and get their feelings hurt over a YouTube video, and nobody's forcing anybody to sit down and watch these videos. You don't like my content or anybody else's content, move on to somebody else. I'm sure you can go watch some puppies play in the yard or whatever. Okay. Yeah. I've kind of been doing a little bit looking into Etsy store, Shirley. I don't know if that's something I want to get into or not. Uh, I've made some of these Rapid Ridge lines that I've kind of branded, put a channel sticker in with that I'm looking at maybe trying to sell some of those to people that don't want to make them themselves. They're easy to make, but some people just don't like to make stuff like that. They'd rather just buy it. I'm going to check with this Aftershock Preparedness over here and see about maybe putting some of them in their store and see if they will sell. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of it on Shirley on that Etsy. Just kind of glancing at it, looked like it was 20 cents for every product you list, and Okay, yeah, my internet's probably getting ready to crash out. Uh, Hopefully it don't freeze up completely and quit. That's the thing about me trying to do lives. Our internet access is terrible here, but hopefully it'll get improved later. But that's what they call a rapid ridge line, Shirley. It's just 30 feet of paracord with a couple of wood toggles on it and some what we call prusik loops that you can stretch between two trees and take a tarp or a poncho and build you a quick shelter, in just a couple of minutes if you get caught out in a rainstorm. I keep them in all my bug out bags and get home bags and use them when I go camping all the time for hanging tarps over hammocks or one of my little tents that I like to use. I can actually use that to set that tent up and not have to use no poles or anything. They're just real handy to have. But yeah, it's called a rapid deployment ridgeline. I give a couple of them away on a giveaway on my channel a few weeks ago. Robert, that was in here, if he's still in here, he won one of them, and 30 feet of 550 cord. Hello, Gary, YouTube police. Appreciate you stopping by. And Shirley, I got a video on how to make those if you want to go back and watch it. Oh, Eddie. We're just trying to fill in some little bit of time. The StreamYard link should be posted, pinned at the top of the chat there. If anybody does want to come up, you're more than welcome. I'll try to bring you up on the panel. And we talked about shelter when I got started at 7 o'clock tonight, and some of the things that you should have on hand, such as a way to heat your home. Talked about generators. Here's Eddie.
Hey, Gary, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
All right. Well, not all right, but all right. I mean, good enough. I was supposed to go to the optometrist today down at the VA, and I was getting ready to go. Well, okay, my wife said that the car smelled funny yesterday and was smoking, so I went out and checked all the fluids, which every freaking fluid was low. This is my son's car. Every freaking fluid was low in there. So I filled up the oil, filled up the antifreeze, filled up the brake fluid, filled up the washer fluid.
Eddie?
Yes.
Are you on camera?
Yes.
Be here. What's in there with you?
Shirley, I'll probably be selling those for $10 each. Plus, if I have to mail them to somebody, I'd have to have the shipping costs included in that. That depends on where it's going to. Shouldn't be anywhere but about $8 to $10.
And Gary said I changed a blinker fluid.
Yeah, was your blinker fluid though?
Yeah. So I did all this, and then it was 2 hours before my appointment that we were going to leave because it takes about an hour to get into Houston to get there. And try to start the car, and it won't start. And testing the battery, and the battery was showing 12 instead of like 12.5, which you wanted, or 12.5 or higher, but it was showing 12. And so we had to jump the car. We jumped the car, it started up, and then tested again. And then the battery was down to like 9 or 10. So the alternator was bad. So I missed my appointment. My son called into work tonight because he didn't have a way into work and everything else. So, I mean, but it's going. I mean, when he went to T-Rock Vittles and such, took him to Baytown to get the part. And he wanted to put it in the shop to get it fixed, but the shop said it was going to be $150 and they couldn't do it till a week from Thursday. Which means he'd be out of work, and he just started that job a little bit over a month ago, so it wouldn't look good. So he's doing it himself. He's doing it right now, as a matter of fact. And I had the notification set. I stopped in here, hit the thumbs up, was going to wait. And then I got pulled over on the phone with YouTube police and my mom. And I guess I have a cousin, a second cousin that I've never met because she messaged me on Messenger out of nowhere and started. And, you know, I was thinking it was a scam or something, but I don't know. And it still could be a scam, but I really don't think so at this point in time. She hasn't done anything crazy. And she knew, because, you know, I asked her, I said, you know, she said she was real close to my dad. And she's from Oklahoma. My dad's from Oklahoma. She lives in Oklahoma. My dad's from Oklahoma. So, but then she knew, she said, she started it out with my mom, Joanne Elam. My mom, Joanne Elam. My mother's brother was Lee Elam, which Lee Elam was my grandpa. So that's how she started it out. But then I, you know, and I kept going. I was questioning her. I'm like, do you know my dad's siblings? And she told me my dad's siblings. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe she is my second cousin. It would be my dad's first cousin, but.
Yeah, you didn't just win the lottery, did you? That's usually when that long lost family comes out and wouldn't work.
I don't know. Maybe she's trying to get money out of me and I ain't got none. So no, but she says, I mean, she sent me pictures of her daughter and her granddaughter, or her oldest daughter or whatever, which, I mean, they're very, very good looking women and stuff. And she also sent me pictures of her parents and her grandpa, Sam. Now, see, that's the thing. My dad never talked about his side of the family, you know, and I never met his side of the family other than my Uncle David and Sam and their families and my grandma and grandpa. But he was like the black sheep of the family. My dad was. My grandma and grandpa had told him, okay, some of y'all might know this, some of y'all might not. My dad mentally and physically abused me my whole life. Okay. Well, I think it, you know, and I've tried to break the pattern with my kids, okay? But my dad was treated bad by his mom and dad. They told him, his mom and dad both told him that he was an accident, he was unwanted pregnancy, you know, this and that. And he was the youngest of, you know, 3 brothers. And they always treated him like that. So he wasn't close to his mom and dad and stuff like that. So he never really talked about him or anything else. And I didn't even meet him till I was 13 years old when we moved back to Texas from Kentucky. Yeah, we lived in Kentucky right before we moved back to Texas. We lived in Paris, Kentucky when I was like 12 years old, 13 years old, whatever.
Yep, know where that is.
Moved back to Texas when I was in the 7th grade. And I lived here until I was born here in Houston, lived here till I was 2 years old. Then my dad joined the Army. Then we moved all around and then moved back to Texas when I was in the 7th grade. And, you know, so.
Yeah, I was telling people earlier that, you know, one of the things that's good to have on hand is baby wipes. I said, you know, when I was in the military, we all kept a pack of baby wipes in our rucksacks. I said, now, I don't know if Eddie's still in here or not, but he'll probably make fun of me and say Marines didn't carry baby wipes. But I was no different because
we didn't carry baby wipes.
Those things is a lifesaver when you've been out there for 2 weeks and no showers or no thought of a shower.
Yeah, we took baths out of our canteen cups.
Yeah, now when I went through basic, we actually still had we used the steel pot with the lantern. And of course, when I got to my permanent duty station, they issued us Kevlar. But that was the bad thing about those Kevlar helmets. Those steel pots was good for that.
Yeah. Well, actually, I think she sent me a baby picture of her. And actually, other than me being a male and her being a female, it looks like one of my pictures when I was a kid. I mean, my mom said the same thing. That's her. I don't have a picture, I don't think, right now. But that's how I looked when I was a kid. All right, Shirley.
Just remember that hot pink lipstick, Shirley. I think if he hasn't worn
this
that yet,
is
somebody's going to be wearing that soon, ain't they, Eddie?
this is chapstick. Yeah, DJ is.
I think that was Anastasia's request, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. What are you doing? What are you doing? You want to come up here? Hold on.
And I seen that you actually admitted that you got outfished.
Yeah, I actually outfished him. I caught more than he did.
But did they all add up to that one is the question.
No. I had a couple good sized cats in the oh, you want this? The what was it that I caught? The bull the black drum that I caught was a pretty good sized one. The croaker I caught, it was pretty small. But yeah, all of my fish didn't add up to that one. But see, I had one about that size on my line, and I didn't tell this story in there. Now Gracie wants one too. Here, Grace. Okay. I had a fish about that size on my line. Okay. And I had caught 2 stingrays, and Bobby had caught 2 or 3. I don't know. We both caught stingrays. But one of those stingrays didn't even have a tail or anything. It was tailless. But anyways, so it's a fishtail. All right, Shirley, you've been hanging around with Gary too long. Bell Luke 29, giving me a hard time. So, I mean, I swear the fish was like this big, okay? Because I seen it. I seen the fish and everything else. And Bobby had just caught a stingray on his, and he was reeling it in or whatever. And I got this fish, and I got it up close to the boat, and I told him like 3 or 4 times, Bobby, get the net, get the net. And he's like, let me get this done first. But he had just said like 2 minutes before stingrays. Well, actually, I caught 2 stingrays. He's like, well, stingrays don't count as fish. You know, it don't count in the count. I'm like, yes, it does. You're catching it. Blah. And so, so anyways, he had a stingray. So what's it matter if it's on the line or gets, why are you trying to do it when I got a big fish over here? Well, the fish just freaking took off, and as soon as it took off, it snapped my line. And if he would have had the freaking net, he would have got it over there. See, when he had that bull red on the line, I was running all over the boat with the net because that bull red was going on both sides of the boat, under the boat, and everything else. And I was ready to catch that sucker. But see, a lot of people haven't even seen that video yet because it's members only.
Right. Yeah, I may be letting the cat out of the bag, but I don't think
it don't matter
right now anyway. So
no, it don't matter.
Yeah.
I just do that because it's a perk to my members. So I give, try to fulfill my stuff and release it to members so they get to see it and comment on it and everything. Talk about it just like you are now first.
Yeah, mine. Dad went down to Florida to Lake Kissimmee, and he went out there fishing, and my stepmom was with him, and he was using them golden shiners for bait. And this was a long time ago, and those things was $1 a piece.
Oh, wow.
So, he put a plastic worm on her hook and told her to fish with that. Of course, she was griping and complaining, I'm not getting no bites. I'm not catching nothing. You're using them shiners, and that's why you're catching something. So he had one in that live well that was dead. So he hooked that dead shiner on her pole and said, there you go. Now you've got you a shiner. She throwed it out there, and as soon as it hit the water, I think it was, to hear him tell it, it was probably a 7 or 8 pound largemouth hit that. And she's like, I've got a fish, and he's got his back turned to her, and he's like, no, you don't. And then he turned around and seen how her rod was bent, and he's like, well, you need to start reeling. She said, I'm trying, it won't reel. She finally got it up, right up. She was sitting on the back of the boat. It went under the motor and cut the line on the prop. He said, I got to watch it swim off. I said, well, that's what you get for giving her a dead shiner to begin with. God was funny.
Well, the thing is no, Shirley, I haven't eaten stingray. I had asked Bobby, I'm like, do people eat what? I'm like, what are stingray good for? And he says some people boil it or cook it up or whatever, but I've never eaten a stingray. No.
Yeah, I know when we went out in Tampa Bay that time, we just throwed them back.
Yeah, that's what we do. Now, I have eaten flounder, and I love flounder, man. Flounder is awesome. You go gigging for flounder down here. I mean, you can go like Matagorda Bay. We caught our limit on flounder. But you go at night and right along the – and you got to be careful. You got to look because you can see the silhouette, okay? And if you know – you can tell the difference between a flounder and a stingray. They both look the same, but you don't want to gig a stingray and have him freaking, poke you or whatever.
Yeah, that was the thing about catching them stingrays. They flatten out, and you think you've got a 20-pound fish on your line, and you get it up to the boat, and it's a little stingray about the size of a dinner plate.
Oh, yeah, they give a good fight, man. Those stingrays give a good fight. But you go get them for flounder. At night, you have a lantern, or you could use a flashlight now. But back when I did it before, you would have a, kind of a pole with what are they called? Like a trident, kind of. Well, kind of like a trident.
Frog gig.
You can use two. Yeah, frog gig, stingray gig, flounder gig, same thing. But you go down there and you're looking at it, and as soon as you see the silhouette and stuff, you throw that gig down there and stick it through them, and then pick them up, and then put them on the stringer, and then pull the things out. You got to be careful when you put them on the stringer that they don't flop off the gig and stuff. But I love gigging for flounder, man, and they're so good, dude. They taste awesome.
Yeah, I don't know that I don't like scallops, period. So I sure don't want no fake scallops made from stingrays.
I have never tasted a scallop. I don't know if I do or not. I've never tasted one, but I'm sure I do. I love all fish.
Well, that was one thing. When I was in the military, we went to Crete in Greece and done a live fire exercise. And when we got done, they took us down on the ocean front there to a seafood place. And I mean, they just kept bringing stuff out. It was like a buffet. They just kept setting stuff on the table, and you could try it. I mean, we tried octopus and everything in the world, and it was all just fresh caught right there. And yeah, they had scallops and clams and oysters and all that stuff. Now, what I did really thought was really good was the swordfish. They had that cut into steaks and fixed on a grill. Now, that was real good.
Never eaten that either. Trust me, if I knew how to clean them and cook them and stuff, I probably would. Oh, well, let me bring this up too. Mr. Gary Robert, Mr. Gary, I was reading because he said, good to see you, Robert. Mr. Gary, YouTube Police there, okay? You know what he ate today? Me and him are in this little diet competition, right?
Right. He probably had more ribs and barbecue sauce, didn't he?
No. All I've eaten today is a little bag of broccoli, cauliflower, and carrots that you put in the microwave, heat it up, and then I put it on my plate with some Drunken Chef's rubs on it, and I ate some peanuts. That's what I've had today. Mr. Gary over there ate pizza. So Mr. Gary has more YouTube Police, Belloop 29, has more willpower than me, but yet for over 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks now. Well, no, I guess over 3 weeks now, over 3 weeks, I have stuck to my diet, no carbs, all this other stuff. And Mr. YouTube Police there eats donuts. He eats pizza, but he has more willpower than I do.
Well, maybe he just took the toppings off the pizza so that he wouldn't have the carbs from all that.
He didn't take no toppings off no dang pizza. He ate it, crust and all. Well, there's other police officers there that could have enjoyed that. You could have saved Carnegie a slice, Gary.
So I guess he's trying to say that he didn't want to offend that lady that brought.
Yeah, that's what he's trying to say. Yeah, that's his excuse, but I don't believe that. But another thing is I am trying to put out some more videos. That's why I stayed up to like 8 o'clock doing that video, I think, something like that. But I am going to do one with me planting some seeds. Oh, and some exciting news today. is I see my first bell pepper.
Welcome back, Shirley.
I finally have my first freaking of this season. Now, my yellow squash has a lot of blooms, but I haven't seen a squash yet. And the other day, my bell pepper plant had a lot of blooms, but then yesterday, for the first time, I seen my first bell pepper.
Yeah, and at the start of this live stream tonight, Eddie, I had uploaded that video under brand, like you mentioned, the opening video, and that worked out really good.
Yeah.
So anybody out there that's doing live streams and stuff, if you don't know about that, if you've got a little short introductory video, you can upload it to your brand tab on your StreamYard there and play it when you get ready to start your live. And it worked really good. And the other thing I did is I actually put some PowerPoint slides together and used the pictures to bring up as I was talking. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and catch this, but like I said, I kind of got bit. I set it for notify, and I was even had it on my phone, and then I got busy.
I seen you in there about 10 minutes early. You said "hoorah," and I'm like,
"Yep." I got busy on the phone with my mom, with Gary, and with my second cousin, I guess, and everything else. And then I just finished a little bit ago, and I forgot. And then Nancy said, Gary, Kentucky Prepper 5's live. And I'm like, oh, you know what? And I ran in here.
Yeah, I pinned the YouTube stream link at the top there when I first started and asked people, and I even got it running here on the little thread on the bottom, for people to share it out if they would.
No, I do not want to get rid of my bell pepper, Gary. It's like this big right now. Man, he told me to pick my bell pepper, and it's not big enough to pick yet. It's just a little tiny bell pepper, about that big.
Elliot, one thing you can try if you haven't done so, you're talking about your dirt's bad, but if you're growing like a pepper plant or a tomato plant or something, just dig you a hole out and put you some of that Miracle-Gro garden soil in that hole, and then put your plant in that, and it will definitely help it. And put a little bit of fertilizer in the bottom of the hole before you add that Miracle-Gro garden soil. It's basically the same concept as planting it in a pot or a bucket, but you're not using that. You're just using a hole in the ground to make your pot with.
Well, not yet, Shirley. I got the stuff, and I'm going to do that. And I'm wanting to start. Well, I'm starting my seeds, and I'm wanting to build that shade house out here and stuff like that. But and I'm going to get with you more about that later on exactly how to do it.
Yeah, I done a video earlier this year about growing tomatoes in buckets, and I have real good luck with them. I just take a 5-gallon bucket and fill it full of garden soil and put fertilizer and stuff in it, put the tomato plant straight in the bucket, and they do real well. You have to water them about every day, especially when the sun hits them good all day, because they dry out so quick in those buckets. So why would the plant stay small, Gary?
Gary, my plant's getting pretty big, and I'm not going to waste a freaking pepper once I finally got one growing. I don't understand that. Why would I want to do that? I finally got a pepper growing.
But I think what he's saying is, if you'll take that first little small pepper off, it'll encourage the roots to grow more and the plant will get taller, and then you'll have bigger peppers in the end.
Well, the roots are in a bucket, and I don't want to pick this pepper, and it's the only one I get.
Yep.
And what I'm gonna do what Gary says to do, and then I'm gonna do what Gary says to do, and then another pepper and one of those other flowers ain't even gonna produce. You watch.
Yeah, he says its focus is to reproduce itself. I know on a cucumber plant, if you let one cucumber on that vine get to maturity size and you don't pick them every day, that plant will die because it's done what it's designed to do. It's supposed to reproduce. And once that one cucumber gets full size, yep, that plant will die.
No, I don't want to do no dang research, Gary. Okay, fine. I'll go pick my dang pepper.
Yeah, just like the Odd Couple, you've done made Felix mad now, Gary. Yeah, if you keep them cucumbers picked, they'll just keep right on producing. But it seems like it never fails. I always miss one somewhere, and then that plant will end up dying. But we always have more than we can handle anyway. So.
Whoops. Okay, see, there's my pepper, Gary. I picked it. My little bell pepper. You happy? First thing I ever had this year. And now that thing ain't going to make another one. You watch.
He was going to say something, and he's changed his mind now. So.
Yeah, whatever. Wait, will this one grow? What is it called? Heritage? Our bell peppers
Heirloom.
heritage? Heirloom. That's what it's called. Yeah, our bell peppers heirloom.
Some varieties are.
I don't know which variety this is.
Right.
Should I get does this one have seeds? Could I replant this?
They probably don't have none of any size in them right now. But yeah, some of them are heirloom. You can save seeds from.
What was Gary fixing to say before I pick it? What? Is he just messing with me? But before you pull it, you have to make sure you never mind.
Yeah, I think he might be just trying to mess with you.
That was a pretty little bell pepper, too. Dang it.
Ellie, I don't know if you want to put me and Devil Dog on the big screen and look at us or not. Now, you might want to stay on the computer. He says he's just messing with you. You did the right thing, so.
Yeah, Let's see, what else?
Yeah, I don't think there's nobody else that we never normally watch going live anytime soon, are they? So
I don't think so.
Yeah. As long as everybody wants to sit around and talk, we'll sit right here and talk about whatever. And as this continues to work out, I guess I might eventually get the paid version of StreamYard. So. But yeah, adding that video under the branding section, and which I'll have to change it because I got the title in there. I may have to make me one without a title that I just use all the time as an introductory video. But yeah, it worked a lot better than trying to stream it from my computer.
Give me 1 second. She asked me like 20 questions. My second cousin that I just met a little bit ago. Anyways,
Yeah, and Robert, if you're still in here, I think there's a big homesteading show coming up in maybe in around close to you. Within a couple of weeks, I believe. I don't remember the exact date.
one of the things she asked me, do you do that for bell peppers or do you do that for anything? About pulling.
I never do that with tomatoes or nothing. I know they claim to do that like on fruit trees. If you've got a cluster of apples or pears or whatever, or a couple real close together, pull one of them off, and that way that one will get bigger. And I know on strawberry plants, they tell you to pull the strawberries off the first year and the blooms and stuff to make the plant grow bigger. And then the next year, you'll get a lot better harvest on strawberries.
Yeah, I want to grow strawberries and stuff like that.
I've never done that with bell peppers, but I just grow a few. Shirley would probably know more on that than I would. That's something I got to try to do in the next little bit too before the weather gets cold. I've got a bunch of potatoes I got to get out of the ground and stored. Yeah, Shirley, my wife loves them. And I put her some in the imitation whiskey barrels, and as soon as it's
Charlie,
ripe, about ripe, it's gone.
That smells so good. I pulled the top off of it. Shirley told me to eat it. I wonder if she's messing with me too.
But I know this year I put out about 100 to 120 strawberry plants. And
you messing with me?
But next year we should have a good harvest of strawberries.
I don't know. I mean, it was good, but it's like it didn't really taste like a full bell pepper yet. I had ranch right there, but it was just too small.
Oh, you eat all them hot peppers, you ain't got no taste buds left for a regular pepper.
With tomato plants, you take off the suckers if it's a non-determinate plant. See, that sentence right there that Gary just did, that Bell Loop just did, makes no freaking sense to me whatsoever. I have no freaking clue what he's talking about suckers and about non-determinate plants and everything else.
If you go up the stem on a tomato plant and there's a branch that comes out, a limb that comes off that main stem, right in that joint, you'll see a little stem start growing out. You take those off. If you don't, that'll actually is turning into another tomato plant. So it takes away from the main plant. I prune my tomato plant back.
I'm not saying you don't know what you're talking about, Gary. What I'm saying is that sentence right there didn't make any sense to me. With tomato plants, you take off the suckers, have no clue what you're talking about suckers. if it's a non-determinate plant. Have no clue what you're talking about non-determinate plant. So what I got out of that sentence is with tomato plants, you take off if it's a plant. I don't know.
A non-determinate plant will grow and grow. It might get 10 or 12 feet tall if you give it support to get that big. A determinate plant will stop growing at 4 feet or 5 feet, whatever it's bred to.
Okay, cool. I understand it now. Thank you, Gary. Thank you. I understand it now.
Yeah, a determinate plant will be short and bushy, and a non-determinate is the ones you see where people put like an 8-foot stake and they keep tying it to that stake, and it just keeps growing right up that stake. He says you're welcome.
No, I wasn't thanking you, Gary. I was thanking Gary beside me here for explaining it. Oh my gosh.
And Elliot says he's going to be going live tomorrow night at 8:05.
Who is?
AR Nation.
Oh, okay.
Hello, Arkansas Wild Man. Appreciate you stopping in here, sir. And you can type 45 in the chat, and Nightbot will drop your link, Arkansas Wild Man, and that way people that don't know you can go check your channel out. Yeah, 29 don't work on this channel, Gary. Which I still could probably do that. I thought about him today. At work, we have a kind of an emergency phone that they pass around from supervisor to supervisor. They all take a week at a time. They've got it in a black briefcase, and we call it the Bat Phone. It's got a big Batman emblem on the case. And I was like, I need to take a picture of that and send it to him, I guess.
Hey, Ralph, how you doing? Good to see you, Ralph. Shirley, yeah, Dee. Shirley, that is my commanding officer. It is a fairly new channel, I guess. And it's a great channel, Shirley. You need to check it out, Shirley.
Yeah, sometime or another, I might have to change that and put some different commands in there for dropping links. But I'm just kind of partial to 45.
Well, I think Gary's just messing around, I think. Yes, Shirley, they're conservative.
Yeah, and I got to give Shirley credit. Of course, when I first mentioned type 45 and it'll drop you a link, she put 45 Trump. I said, I believe you're the first one that picked up on that. I said, but actually, that, and I'm partial to a 1911. So.
Yeah, so is anybody know what's new? Is there anything new with that issue?
No, I think their big thing now is, they know every October the 1st they got to have a budget in place, and they wait till September the 28th to try to do it for whatever reason. Probably need to just fire all of them and start over again. Maybe I just don't know why they can't get that together in a year's time.
Yeah.
Other than they don't want to. I don't think there's none of them that's running can do anything with Trump right now. He's way, way in the lead. And I think that's why they keep just trying to dig and find anything they can to try to keep him from running again.
Yeah.
I know I was better off when he was in office. I don't know that would happen if he gets back in office again.
I think everybody was.
We was talking about that earlier, I stopped at the grocery store and got 2 little bags of stuff, and it was $42. I just don't know how they think people are going to live.
Well, there was, I've ordered a bag of nuts, and it was like nuts without peanuts, okay? And my wife used to order them for me on Amazon, okay? And it was like, I don't know, $13. Maybe it was 18. I don't know. But now that same bag of nuts is up to $30.
Yeah, $72 to fill my truck up with gas a while ago, and I had a quarter tank.
For a bag of freaking nuts. It's crazy. Yeah, this stuff's unreal.
Yeah, I think that's the big holdup with their budget right now, Shirley, is some of the conservatives is balking on giving Ukraine any more money.
Ralph, it kind of fits though, bro. So what'd you do today, Gary?
Me or the other one?
You.
I had to work today, so.
I know what the other one does. I mean, I talk to him like 24 times a day. He calls me at least once an hour generally. And so he even tells me when he's going to the bathroom and stuff.
Well, he's trying to stay awake because he's at work.
Well, no, he's trying to stay awake because he ate all that daggum pizza.
Yeah, I had to work today. My plan is to try to retire in 3 years. I hope I can do that. And that way I can spend more time doing what I want to do besides trying to work to survive. Full of something.
Don't listen to him, Gary. He's full of something. Yeah. Well, that's kind of funny, Shirley, because in the Marine Corps in boot camp, we had to ask permission to use the head.
Yeah, basically you had to ask permission to do anything.
Yeah.
We had one guy he was from North Carolina, big old country boy to begin with, kind of heavy, and they had a big, huge rock that would fit in a wheelbarrow that they had smoke me painted on, and they had about a 4-foot section of a telephone pole that had smoke me painted on it. Now, every day after we got done with training and got back to the barracks, they would make him run around the quad for an hour with either that big rock or that telephone pole. They called him Big Country. And when we graduated basic training, he looked like Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was so built. Yeah, I'd say most of the stuff they used to do, they can't do none of that no more.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've heard things. I don't know if it's true, but they heard about. I've heard about these little, I don't know, cards, crimey card. I don't know what they're called,
Stress
but
cards.
stress. Yeah, that's it. Stress cards and.
I I re-enlisted out of combat arms. I was air defense radar computer repair technician, and I missed Panama because I was in Germany, and I got put on 24-hour standby to deploy to the Gulf during Desert Shield, Desert Storm. And then, so I figured the third time would be the charm. It might be time to get out of combat arms and re-enlisted in the medical. I was already an NCO. I was a sergeant, so I come back to the States to do AIT again, and you know they got drill sergeants there, and they seen me, and I reported in, and they said, "Oh, good, glad you're here. There's 39 privates just out of basic. They're all yours. You're in charge." And that was the first time I ever seen those stress cards. They had them in their BDU pockets, and I sounded like an idiot out there trying to talk because I'd have to skip certain words and pause and think about what I was saying. You couldn't get within their little personal privacy box, or they'd pull that card out and show it to you. And this was in 1992. I know the first day I went to get them, they told me to take them up to where the classrooms were, pick them up at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 1300, march them up there and show them where the classrooms are. The day before class was to start. So I show up at 1300. They're out there in formation, and I look, and every one of them's got tennis shoes on with their fatigues. And I'm like, "Where is your boots?" "Oh, we only wear them a half a day. They hurt our feet." And I went ballistic, I'd say. About the third day, we came back from class. The senior drill instructor was standing out there in the quad, and he motioned for me to come over there. So I dismissed him, walked over there, and he looked at me and he said, "You need to calm down." I said, "Well, I'm not treating them any different than I did regular line troops in Germany." And he's like, "Well, yeah, but you was in combat arms, and this is the medical field, and we just don't act like that here." And I was trying to tell all them trainees that, you know, it ain't all going to be fun and games when you get done with AIT. You know, you're not going to be working in a hospital necessarily. And they're like, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about." So when they all started getting their orders, first one, he opened his up. He's like, "11th ACR." He said, What hospital's that?" And I said, "The 11th ACR is the 11th Armored Cavalry Regiment, Fort Bliss, Texas." I said, "When you arrive in El Paso, Texas, I want you to look out there and you'll see a big dust cloud." I said, "That is the 11th Armored Cavalry Regiment either coming back from White Sands, New Mexico for 30 days, or they're on their way out. One of the two." And out of 39 of them, which I think about 10 of them were National Guard, the remaining ones, they may have been 2 or 3 that got actually assigned to an Army hospital in the States. Most of them went to a forward deployed unit.
Yeah,
You didn't have stress cards at the police academy?
Gary would have had a permanent stress card.
They had what they call a stress card that they keep in their BDU pocket. You know, if you're getting too stressful of a situation on them in training and stuff, you know, you're being too hard on them and they're going to have a nervous breakdown, they can pull that little card out and show it to you, and you have to let them have a little break for a few minutes to gather themselves. But I can honestly say the military did prepare me for success in the civilian world and civilian employment.
Well, I'll tell you what, going back to the boot thing, going back to the boot thing, I was happy because the drill instructors in boot camp would tell us what boots to wear. And I hated the jungle boots, especially when we were marching, drilling on the parade deck and stuff, because the steel plate or the metal plate that's in them, it would just like heat up your foot and it would be hot. I was so glad when we got combat boots, got to wear combat boots for the day. And then when we were about to be deployed to Somalia, they issued us desert cami boots, and those were more comfortable. Those were more comfortable than the jungle boot. I had 4 sets of boots. We had our combat boots, our jungle boots, we had the desert cami boots, and then we also had safety boots because I worked on aircraft. And the most comfortable out of all of them was the desert cami boots. But then
we took a pair of the black, just standard black combat boots, and they put a white dot on the backs of them on one pair. So on odd days you wore the white dot, even days you wore the other pair, so that you actually ended up having both pairs broke in and ready to wear.
Yeah, we had those 4 sets. We didn't have doubles of anything, but we had those 4 sets. Yeah. Now I know people who may buy extra sets of camis and boots, but the only reason for it is for inspections. They would spit shine their boots and never wear them, and they would put like in the extra uniforms they had in their wall locker and iron them, press them, get rid of all the IPs and everything else, and they would stay in there only for inspections, so they wouldn't have to worry about that.
Yeah, I had a full set of LBE that I bought, but that way I didn't have to worry about painting everything, all the little holes black, and having everything, clean and spotless.
Do you use MNU 2 in the Army?
Yep. And I had all that stuff laid out for an inspection, and he was actually a battalion sergeant major, came by and he looked at that, and he looked at me and he said, "Boy, that looks real good." He said, "Now I'm going to tell you what, we're going to the field in a couple of weeks, and I expect to see you wearing this gear." He said, "The purpose of this inspection ain't to know how to lay your gear out. It's to see if you're taking care of the gear that was issued to you."
That's funny. Yeah, I guess I was just too stupid or too cheap. One of the two to buy an extra set.
Well, you could go to Clothing Supply or the PX, or in the PX, and that stuff was dirt cheap. In the late '80s, early '90s, anyway. Yeah, it was worth it to just have an extra set. But I mean, it's amazing to me though how that stuff works. I ended up being a maintenance chief. We're out doing some kind of NATO exercise. I had a mechanic that, basically if you didn't tell him how to breathe, he'd probably stop breathing. We're out in the field. It's pouring the rain, and here he goes bebopping by us, and no rain gear or nothing on, pouring the rain. Now, Sergeant Major don't ask him, go over and ask him why he don't have his rain gear on. He asked me why my soldier doesn't have his rain gear on. Well, I don't know, but I will certainly go find out for you. So I'm going to ask him. He said, "Well, I forgot to bring it." So I had an extra set of rain gear in my pack that I give him. And then every time after that, whenever we'd get ready to go to the field, I'd treat him like a little kid and make him lay all his gear.
Good night, Shirley.
Appreciate you coming by, Shirley. And I know we was out in Germany. It was in the middle of the winter, bitter cold. We was doing range qualifications. And I was the safety NCO for the 203 range. And they had, the 203 range, the M16, the M60, 50 cal, all these different weapon systems, different areas. And there was a brigade colonel, brigade sergeant major, and they had a brand new butter bar lieutenant with them, pulled up to their range, and they looked at me, and the first question was how many cold weather injuries did I have? And I informed them that I had 0. And they looked at me and they said, well, how is that? Every range we've been to has had at least one or more. And I said, well, I've got a 6-man tent set up over there with a stove and a fire. And I'm rotating people out and keep letting them go in there and warm up. And about that time, that little butter bar lieutenant come out of that tent. And he started jumping on me about, I actually had a wood and coal fire in that potbelly stove that was designed for diesel fuel, but they were a multi-fuel stove. You probably had the same things in the Marine, them little black potbelly stoves that you could hook a 5-gallon diesel fuel can to and turn upside down, and diesel fuel would drip in it and burn. And he's like, you're not using the diesel with that stove. You can't be doing that. I'm like, well, we don't have the regulator to connect the diesel fuel can, so I took a pallet and some coal from this little German guard shack over here, and I built a fire, and I'm taking care of my soldiers. And he started to say something, and that brigade sergeant major eat him up. And that was the first time I'd ever seen the NCO jump on an officer. But he jumped up him one side and down the other and said, this is a prime example of improvising, adapting, and overcoming and taking care of his soldiers. And he started to say something, and the colonel looked at him and said, Lieutenant, the best thing you can do is shut your mouth and go get in that blazer over there. Yeah, I don't know what the military would be like nowadays.
Yeah, I don't either.
I know when I was of age, that was about the only options you had. It was either work for minimum wage, go to work in a coal mine, or go to the military.
Well, back when I was growing up, it was like there was a lot of pride in going into the military and defending your country and, fight, and stuff like that. And that was during, like, when I was growing up, it was during the Cold War and everything else, and it's like today it just don't seem like the kids nowadays even want to get off out of their freaking room or off their phone or whatever else, let alone serve their country or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't know about everybody else's areas, but around here, these coal companies are begging for employees, and they can't get nobody that will show up to work 5 days a week or that can pass a drug test.
Yeah.
These young people now, they just want to work 1 or 2 days a week and get a little bit of spending money, and they're happy, They're still living with mommy and daddy, and they could care less if they show up to work on time and work 5 and 6 days a week. And I know I used to work 90 hours a week in the mines, so made good money, raised my family with it. So
yeah.
I guess we still got 6 people in here.
Oh,
7.
7. Yeah, 7's what I'm showing.
So,
Shirley just had to leave, but we got me, you, Gary, AR, I guess.
yeah.
Who else?
Got a few people that's shy. They won't come up and chat or. That's fine. Hello, Big Matt. Haven't seen him in a while.
He was lurking.
Yeah, last time I seen him, I think Coyote's still looking for his laptop that he thinks Ryan has, I believe.
Oh, Ralph's still here.
So.
Yeah, that's true, Gary.
Yeah, I know Coyote was growling at Ryan the other night about where's my laptop. But yeah, I've seen that video, Matt, where you snuck in there and got his laptop. And I know every stream that I've been on lately that Ryan's in and Cowdy pops up in, that's his first question is, where's my laptop? Now, Webb's Web, Ralph, is that the one that does the computer stuff with you once a month?
Yep, it is him, and he was also he was in the Air Force.
Yeah, those were the people that had it good.
Yep, you're right.
I know when I got to Germany, we was a remote air defense installation for Spangdahlem, Hahn, and Bitburg air bases. So basically all our supplies and everything, there wasn't no Army units really near us anywhere, came from the Air Force. So when you first process into your duty station there, you know, you stayed on the Air Force base. And they took us and put us in a room. We had a refrigerator, nice rooms, you know, and they're like, you can have a 6-pack of beer or a bottle of wine in your refrigerator. So first thing me and my buddy from Basic and AIT done was went out, and they had these little, I guess they was about a gallon kegs, metal kegs that you could buy a beer, different kinds. I think we bought 6 of the Heineken ones and had them in a refrigerator, and they come in there and they're like, no, you can't have them. We're like, well, there's just 6 of them.
Ralph said, yep, that's me. Yeah, I'll tell you what, the best chow hall I ever ate at was Kadena Air Force Base in Okinawa, Japan. Okay. And a lot, if not all of the Air Force bases, I think, have civilian cooks and everything else, whereas Marine Corps chow halls have Marine Corps cooks. That's an MOS.
Yep. Same in the Army. Well, Gary, I don't know. I think he was having an issue maybe with his laptop, and I think it was supposed to end up with Ryan to repair it or do something with it. But you have to catch Matt's video, I guess, might explain it a little bit better. Yeah, I can't even remember the name of the hospital at Fort Gordon, Georgia, when I got stationed there. Now, their dining hall was real good. They had real good food for it to be an Army. Of course, it was part of them.
Well, you know, here's the thing. I think probably the bad Air Force chow halls, the worst Air Force chow halls, is better than the best Marine Corps chow halls. Because T-Rock Vittles and such, okay? Me, I'll eat anything. It don't matter, okay? I'll eat just about anything. Where T-Rock's Vittles and such, let me tell you this, okay? When we went fishing this last Sunday, we stopped at a gas station to get ice and everything else. And he got 4 tacos, 2 for him, 2 for me. You know, and they were bacon, egg, and bean tacos or whatever. And so we didn't eat it right away. We get out on the boat, get settled or whatever. And I'm starving, you know, I haven't eaten nothing all morning. And I cheated a little bit because I ate the 2 tortillas on Sunday for breakfast. But I didn't eat nothing else until that night. And, you know, they were small. They weren't big tacos or anything. So anyways, I go and I eat my tacos and everything else. And yeah, I mean, you know how they put, and they were flour tortillas, and you know how it's probably got like flour on it and stuff like that. Well, T-Rock took one bite out of it, and he didn't even swallow it. He spit it out into his hand and threw it overboard and said, "These tortillas are raw," and blah, blah, blah. He didn't eat them, either one of them. And I'm like, dude, come on. It ain't like they were raw. it may have had a little bit of a flour taste to it or something like that. He is so freaking. Now he did go to culinary school. He didn't finish. He was like one semester shy of finishing, but he's so picky about food and stuff. Me, you put a plate of food in front of me, I'm most likely going to eat it.
Yeah, it's like I used to have buddies of mine when I was in the military and stuff. They'd talk about those. Man, those MREs are good. Can you get me some of them? And I'm like, no, now hold on. I want you to take that MRE and throw it out there under your truck and let it lay out there for about a month and then just open the pack up and eat it. Don't put it in the microwave and heat that stuff up and tell me how good it is. And which they are a lot better now than they were then, because we had the dehydrated beef patty and dehydrated pork patty. It was basically a dog biscuit's what it was. I know later on they started putting the hot sauce and different stuff in them.
Well, here's the MREs come with a little Tabasco. We use Tabasco in everything, okay? But the thing is there was definitely MREs that I liked, and there was MREs that I hated. Now they have a bunch more different kinds and better and like everything else.
Different varieties.
Yeah, exactly. But see, here's the thing. Whenever you were in the field, I hated corned beef hash. I hated the ham. It was a chunk of ham, and I hated the omelet. Okay. Those are the three that I absolutely despised. And I did everything. And a lot of times when I got it, I wouldn't even eat it because I just hated those three flavors. The other ones, I think there was like a stroganoff, and the other ones were Salisbury patty or something like that. The other ones were pretty good, pretty decent or whatever.
Yeah, like I said, we had a dehydrated pork patty, a dehydrated beef patty. Chicken a la king was tolerable, and I actually liked the ham slices.
I remember the chicken a la king too.
Spam was what it was, and hopefully you got that. You had the cheese packet in there with the crackers. So.
Yeah, well, see, I didn't like spam. I don't like spam raw. I like fried spam, but not raw, and that's probably why I didn't like the ham either.
Yeah, I'd say, Gary, them MREs have probably got a lot of carbs in them and stuff.
They do. They have like 2,000 something calories per package, I think.
Yeah, it's about 2,200. I think the military recommends 2,000 to 3,000 calories per day for military age fighting male. So one of them is supposed to provide your caloric intake for a day. I know we got a new cook when I was in Germany, and he was actually from Texas, so he would try to fix some Tex-Mex stuff with whatever supplies he had available. Now, he can make some really good chili mac. But I know after I got out, I went for years, I despised white rice because it seemed like we had white rice about every day when I was in Germany. But I've been going 2 hours. I think I'll call it a night. It's kind of slow. And I appreciate everybody that's came in. If you pick this up on a rewatch, I appreciate you watching then. Be doing this every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, as long as the internet holds up and I can do it. And we'll talk about another prepping topic next week, and then there'll probably be medical. Talk about some first aid supplies. And well, if he's enjoying it, I guess that means I got to stick around, don't it? But yeah, I appreciate it, everybody. Hope everybody has a good week. My email is in my About section on my channel page if you'd like a channel sticker. that came from Devil Dogs Keeper. They're really good stickers. Shoot me an email and I'll be more than happy to send you one. And until other than that, I'll see you next Wednesday night or on a video or in somebody else's live stream. So good night, everybody, and have a blessed week. Thank you, everybody.
Semper Fi.